welcome everybody to the very first episode of Tech Talks, not TED Talks, Tech Talks with the founders. Now, you may be surprised because it says founders and I'm not one of the founders, that there is only one founder on this episode. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so the calculated move. What we wanted to do is to introduce each of the founders separately because we believe that each one had a story that was worth sharing. But also what I wanted to see is there are two different visions of when they set up the business. And what did one person, what did they see? And what do they see now? And what does the other founder? And let's see if there's a correlation between the two. Let's see if they're unified on that. So you have to sign up now to the second episode to see if that vision is uniformed or not. But let's tell you why before we get into this and I introduce you to Tom, who is one of the co-founders and the technical director here at EVERYWARE. One of the reasons why we wanted to do this podcast. There were so many great conversations that we were having in the office about where we go as a business. And so I think these podcasts could help entrepreneurs or people who are looking to start their own tech business. Okay, sounds very Silicon Valley if you're looking to start up your own tech business. Or it may just be that there was things that we would talk about that we believed would help clients and everybody is affected by tech and tech can help everybody. Tech's helping my children not to do their homework. Tech has helped my mom to, explore the world of TikTok and dances. Okay, now she's super entertained. But on a serious note, tech is also helping our clients to be more efficient, to have a better ROI on the resources that they have. And tech could help you, whether you're a big business, whether you're a small business. Tech has the ability to take your company from point A to point B. And I think there was things, whether you're a client or not, that you could learn from this and implement and see success in your business. So we really just wanted to share some of the chats that we have internally with the world. But also, if you have any questions, I've got to say this, I'm not super techy. I'm just not. But I love tech. But sometimes some of the conversations that I'll have with Tom in particular are so next level. I'm like, can you break this down for me so I can understand where the world is going? And it's actually really exciting. So one of the things that, we'll be able to do with these tech talks is maybe break down things that you want to know more about. Where is the world of IoT? What is the next big wave of things coming that could revolutionize how we live today? And that's what these tech talks are about. So there's not going to be one particular format. We're going to be covering a wide range of different things, but also deep diving into our business and our vision and where we're going as a company. So just an update. Obviously, my name is Denzel. I am the sales director, and I've had the fortunate opportunity of being able to work with these guys for almost the last 2 years. It's been an incredible ride. But you didn't come here to listen to me. You came here to listen to one of the two founders. So let's really get into this. So, Tom, the main man. Okay, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Tell them a little bit about yourself and your background before we get into the vision of EVERYWARE.
Sure thing. So my name's Tom Screen. I'm the technical director and one of the co-founders of EVERYWARE. And so that means I deal with the technology, the software and the architecture and making sure that we're setting it with all the right standards. My background, really goes back to my first days after university. I started working with IBM software. I was an integration specialist, Java development, working with application servers. And so that gave me a really good grounding in connecting systems, having systems talk to other systems. I went from there into the second part of my career. I sort of made a bit of a change. I moved from IBM software into SAP software, which for anybody who's been involved in that world knows it's a very different kind of world, much more high level, much more business focused. So SAP, it was all about business process automation. We were building applications on top of ERP systems and working with businesses of huge scale, really global businesses. We'd be going in, we'd be talking to the directors at the top levels and people at all different levels of that organization to understand their processes, find out what the problems were, and implement solutions. So I feel like that was a really good setup, that sort of combination of the low-level integration and then the high-level business processes. to feed into really what we're doing now.
Fantastic. So you're like, obviously, we say technical director, and we'll have you down as the person who's coding, helping the team of, how do we implement this on the software from the front end and back end stuff. But also, it sounds like you were a consultant in that role as well. So more of a consultative role rather than a just programming role.
I would say I've definitely worn different hats. And I think that's good to get a good breadth of experience. So I'm not a specialist. I'm much more of a generalist. But that I find quite useful because it means I can go and I can talk to the people at different, all different stages of business. But I can understand the nuts and bolts of obviously coding, how systems communicate, and then be able to implement those solutions. So I mean, for me, that's been a really good part of the journey. And certainly now, sort of being able to, as I say, bring those things into what we're doing at Everywhere. So being able to talk about business processes as well as being able to talk about how the IoT, the Internet of Things, is then going to be integrated into those business processes. That's really exciting to see how that trend is moving forward.
Okay, I love that. So it sounds like you had a great career, one where your parents would have been proud.
I had a great career. Right?
That's it. So the question is, it's such a great background working with some of the the world's largest companies still, SAP and IBM. What would make you want to jump ship and become an entrepreneur and set up Everywhere? So the question I actually asked before that is, had you ever set up a business before Everywhere?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure maybe there is a group of people that thinks I really want to set up a business. I guess I always saw in my future that I might start a business. I always had it that it would be something I'd like to do. And because in my past I've been either a consultant or a contractor, I was very comfortable with sort of, being able to go out into industry on my own, look for projects, find work. So, to then, I think, discover maybe is the right word, a new area of technology that I was passionate about. And then, think, well, there's a use in business for this.
Yeah.
And obviously meeting John. So John and I go back a long way. And, we're not dissimilar history. But we both come from a similar background. And so for us to be able to talk about, here's on the one hand, here's a new technology and how we might use that. And then also to discover that actually there are business requirements for this, and how we actually got into healthcare, for example. Some of that was quite fortuitous. So although I would say, obviously at one point there was a conscious decision to start a business, and that might be on the scale of crazy from one to something else. But
I think so.
There's a very legitimate desire there to try and do good in the world, if not in business.
Yeah, fantastic. So you didn't have a business background, was doing really well in your career, but you saw there was this need. And that's why most businesses are set up, right? Because you see a need or a gap in the market, as they say, and you could fill that. Or someone needs to do something about this and I need to be that person. What was that need that you saw then? What was that thing that you said, this is what Everywhere? And I don't know if it was actually, this is a question I don't even know. Was Everywhere always the name of the business? Or is this something that's developed?
No, it wasn't actually. When we set it up, I mean, there's a bit more of a story than I'll go into now, but it was called something else before it was called Everywhere. But within months of starting, we changed the name to Everywhere. In order to sort of encompass the internet of everything, really was the thinking behind Everywhere. And I mean, I guess some people have an idea to start a business and then they start a business, but it really came out of our experience, certainly from my perspective, with working with companies, as say huge businesses that would be customers of SAP, and my desire really was that I sort of thought there should be a bit of an easier way for businesses to get started, certainly with IoT, and certainly knowing that there were going to be a lot more problems, right? So enterprise integration is a huge industry on its own, multi-billion-dollar industry, and that's generally dealing with maybe a few tens or hundreds of systems within a business to make sure they're all connected and communicating and sharing information. But when you consider IoT and sensors, and you're talking tens of thousands of sensors in one business, so orders of magnitude greater an integration problem. And we really wanted to be able to offer businesses a simpler way into that world. Maybe that we cover the first 80%, and then we can deal with customizations and additions after that. But out of the box, really, you should be able to start using sensors, start gathering information about the assets and the equipment that are a key part of your business, to be able to make better decisions, because ultimately that's what it's all about. It's about being able to make better business decisions with more information than you've ever had available.
Yeah. So did you see then that the blue chips had this access to this level of data or this level of expertise, but actually some, maybe whether that be healthcare and things like that, or smaller businesses, didn't really have the access? So that was the driving force. You could see the impact this could have, and I'm assuming big companies already were utilizing that expertise.
Well, it's easy to assume that, and I think that's always been. Yeah, it's easy to assume that big businesses have the answer, and at the end of the day, they're all people like us. They have more resources, sure, so they can move faster, but then they're bigger and there's more of it to move. There's a lot more inertia, and there are a lot more people. So I don't know. I think there's certainly a need across businesses of all sizes, and I think the bigger the business, the bigger the need is going to be, because you've probably got more equipment, more assets that need to be tracked. And you might not be thinking about that in terms of assets like things in an office, but when you're talking about like industrial settings or like a healthcare setting, you've got critical pieces of equipment that need to be in the right place at the right time. And if they're not, then that's going to affect some other part of the business, whether that's a patient needing healthcare, or it's a process, something on an oil rig that isn't happening when it should be happening. Yeah.
I like it. So is the vision still the same then? Because obviously, how long has the business been operating now?
So we started in 2015. And as I said, initially the idea was that we could make it easier for businesses to get started with IoT. And I think, that's still a key driver in the business. I would also say that starting a business is as much a discovery as it is a creation. That you have to sort of follow where your customers lead you, where the demand takes you. And I think if you're too inflexible in that, then you might not do so well. But for us, I think we've actually been able to focus our mission and our vision over that time. So working with customers, we now have the ability to talk about usage and wastage in terms of assets. So are you losing your assets? Are you getting the best out of your assets? So as much as being able to make that journey an easier one to get on board with, we can now talk about the business outcomes and why that's so important for a wide, for any industry sector, really.
Fantastic. Oh, okay. So it sounds like the vision is somewhat similar, but now even more focused.
I would say that's right, yes.
I love that. Okay, so we know your background, we know why you set up the company, we can see the current vision, and we'll be interested to see John's version of that vision next week. Okay, but what is it that, I've talked about what, collectively I felt why we did this podcast, but what would you want people to get from this podcast?
So I think you hit on the point earlier on. Business is about people, and we engage with people in a lot of different ways already. So whether that's we go to shows, we talk to our customers, or it might be mailers or other reach out marketing to be able to talk to people. I see this as a really good opportunity to be able to connect with different people at different parts of the business. And the other thing is we have such great conversations, which you touched on earlier, and we can be in the office and we can be talking about a lot of different subjects, and that's sometimes hard to get across in different scenarios.
Yeah.
And so, this is a really nice opportunity for us to just be able to sit down, have a chat, talk about some different subjects that either we're passionate about or useful to people that might see this, might potential customers or actual existing customers, so that we can go into a bit more depth in these things. So I'm really interested to see, what kind of feedback that we get, and then how we might be able to help people with it.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Now, obviously, we've got to say thank you for Tom, because Tom is incredibly busy. And, he's got a workload just before he goes off to the Caribbean. No, not the Caribbean. I keep on saying the Caribbean, but will be traveling to the north of Scotland, I believe in the Highlands. So hopefully we'll be on one of the podcasts. We'll be able to show you what he does in his spare time. I think it's always good to get to know a little bit about the people that you're dealing with, because, listen, we talked about it. Business is people buying from people, and people like to buy from people that they like, right? So it would be, Tom loves to do I was going to say skydiving, but snowboarding, kayaking, all that fun stuff. So he'll be doing that for 2 weeks. So maybe we'll be able to show you some pictures of that and add that into one of the next podcasts to see what tech people really get up to in their spare time. And it isn't coded. Right? But no, that's really brilliant. But as we said, if you have a question, whether that be about business, whether that would be about tech and stuff like that, get in contact. We'll look to answer as many questions as we can, but we are committed to send out a video every Wednesday on LinkedIn and YouTube. So all we ask is that, obviously, if you found these videos, if you found them insightful, if you found them informative, like and subscribe. So to make sure that you don't miss that. You definitely don't want to miss next week, because I'm really intrigued to see if their visions are the same. Do we have an alignment on the visions? And I'm sure we do. But Tom, thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Denzel.
Enjoy your holiday. Well deserved. Always working hard. And thank you for all of you who've watched this video. And once again, subscribe and look out for next week's web video that comes out every Wednesday, once again on the platforms of LinkedIn and YouTube. So thank you for watching Tech Talks with the Founders. We'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.